Good morning, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Oh, can you see my breath? I'm going to get my gloves on again. It's pretty chilly. It's not freezing cold, but it is cold enough to have quite a few layers on. Fleece, hoodie, long sleeve tee, short sleeve tee, 2 pairs of trousers. Okay, so I'm carrying on the same morning as when I popped down to show you the the December tour. I'll put your teeth in. And I'll be honest with you, I feel a little bit overwhelmed today. And I'm sure many of you experience that feeling too. I haven't been to the garden for the best part of 3 weeks. Last time I was here, I was taking down all the poles and structures. I mostly tidied away after myself, but there were a few things here and there. But my knees really started to hurt, so I sort of left it at that day. And then since then, we've had so many rain days, and I've had other stuff going on that's sort of taken my attention away. Plus, in the last the last week or so, my knees have been awful, absolutely awful. Perhaps it's the cold, I don't know. So I just haven't been able to sort of face even the walk to the garden, never mind doing any gardening. And I think part of it is that I know that all the jobs that need doing are quite physical. So, like I say, today I look at the garden and I suddenly feel a little bit overwhelmed, a bit daunted by what needs doing. I look at it and I think, how am I going to get all this done with my knees playing up and with the weather? So on days out today when I'm feeling like this, it would be all too easy to do my harvest, more of that in a second as well. Hey poppykins, it would be so easy to simply harvest and go back home where it's nice and cosy and I can put my knees up. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to make myself do at least one job or 2 jobs. What I often find is if I make myself do that first job, hello gorgeous girl, then the others follow. So, bearing that in mind, the first job I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a nice easy job. The bed that I put the dry compost on 3 weeks ago, leaving it to get a bit of a wetting from the rain, I'm going to get that covered, and then I can say, right, good, I've done something today. And probably what will happen, what I'm hoping will happen, what normally happens is that then that will put me onto something of a roll. So we'll go out and get that done in a minute. The other thing I've got with me today is my shopping list. So, excuse me. Loads of things to pick today. And the way I plan my picking in the winter, it changes very much from in the summer, because in the summer I'm here so often, I'm here every day. So I will literally pick and eat for that day, or maybe for 2 days, because in the winter I come less. What I tend to do the evening before, for example, I'll sit down, I'll look at my week ahead, I'll think, when am I out of the house, when am I in the house, when am I going to be out all day, when I go in all day, that sort of thing, and sort of plan my meals as in, can I cook that day, or do I need to cook in advance so I've got a meal ready? And that's generally what I tend to do anyway, is I spend a whole morning cooking for the whole week, so that I've got meals ready, because the day runs away, most days run away. So I've sat down last night, I've worked out what I want to eat this week based on what I've got by way of stored produce, but also what I've got by way of the fresh produce. So having decided what I'm going to eat, I've then got my shopping list. Yay! And it's ridiculous the number of times I come to the garden, do a load of work, get home, and then suddenly think, oh, I forgot to get any carrots while I was there. So I'm not going to forget today, because I've got a nice list. Right then, I think, oh no, my first job is what's in here. So let's go and do the first job. When I was cutting my hair the other day, I was mentioning how when we were kids, we cut our hair and we were encouraged to go and put our hair out in the garden in the rose bushes for the birds to take. I'm not sure why. I don't know if this is going to creep me out, but yeah, here's my hair. Just gonna hang it in the rose bush and see. Let's see if the birds take it. It looks a bit peculiar, I've got to say. It's a bit, I don't know, there's something a bit horror movie about it, or is that just me? I don't know. Anyway, that's done. I'll have a look in a couple of days. See if the birds have had it away. Never mind that, let's get on with bed number 1. Well, all of this sort of dry compost cardboardy mix that I put on the other day, it's certainly got good and wet. One thing I forgot to do on that day though was to put my little bean trench in, because there'll be beans here again next summer. So, whoopah, just going to quickly pop a little trench in here before I cover it, and then over the course of the winter, oh, there's so many worms. Yeah, over the course of the winter, if I'm doing any tidying jobs in the garden, if there's any grass cutting happening, probably won't be that much grass going on, but any rubbish I can just chuck in these little trenches. And I have to say that compared with previous years, to get that little trench out, that was quite a bit easier, and I'm sure that's got to be something to do with all the organic matter that went in there this time last year. It's great when you feel the work, or you can see the work is finally starting to pay off. And as I was sort of mentioning earlier, one of the reasons for dreading or being a bit overwhelmed by the thought of the work that needs doing at the moment is it's all work which my knees aren't going to particularly enjoy. Right, let's get covering. So someone was asking me recently, and I thought, actually, it's a frequently asked question, so I'll answer it now, here, rather than in lots of little message responses over time. I often am asked, where do you get your cardboard from? So, to me it feels like a no-brainer. Because I live on a high street though, maybe it's different for me, because I see when these things are being put out all the time. I see the shops putting them out. So I get these from a shop in my area. I know the recycling days. I know the days when the businesses put out their paper and card waste. So I bowl up on that day and grab an armful. These ones are particularly useful because they're just plain brown card. There's no sort of shininess or glossiness to them, so they rot down perfectly well. I do have to spend a few minutes with each collection taking all the tape off, because there's nothing worse than trying to work with your soil and finding lengths of sellotape in it. So yeah, it's well worth spending a little bit of time. as an idea for you, if you don't have a shop handy like I do, like this, check out if you've got a big electrical retailer near you. These big centres that sell, you know, fridges, freezers, that sort of thing, flat screen TVs, these massive flat screen TVs. I'm sure they have plenty of cardboard, Terry. Another really good place to try is somewhere like in the UK. We've got a chain of shops called Halfords, and they do car and bicycle stuff. Now, because they sell bicycles, especially at this time of year, with the bicycles, especially the kids' ones, they hold them at the store, ready-made, ready presented, all put together for the parents to collect later on. So the parents are taking them away, not in their boxes. So I'm sure that at this time of year, Halfords would have loads of boxes too. Definitely, definitely worth asking. Right, now I've got to have a little wander around the garden to find bricks and things to hold this lot down. I know, I shall use my poles that I took down the other day. I'm a bit disappointed that the early frosts did for my cosmos. Not just a bit disappointed, a lot disappointed. Not only do I miss their display, such blousy pretty flowers, but most of the heads, most of the blooms were knocked off by the frost before they had a chance to make any seed. Actually, I think what I'll do, I really need to do some maintenance on my secateurs, because when I close them, they're not really springing open very well. It's on the list of jobs. So for now, let's just have these out, because what I'm going to try next year, so normally with the cosmos I sow a few in little cells, usually around about the end of March, beginning of April, bring them on, and then sometime in May, even into the beginning of June, plant them out. However, the last couple of years they've been really tricky and naughty, not doing anything. And when I look at a couple of my neighbour plots right near my shed, they don't do anything with their cosmos. They just self-seed every year, and they get an absolutely gorgeous display. And this year, I ended up with about 4 cosmos plants. 2 of them were from my seed, the other 2 had self-seeded. So I'm going to give it a go for next year to just see if self-seeding will work without me doing any sowing whatsoever. So now they're out, I'll snip them down in a minute. Let's get some seed in, let's cheat. So literally all I'm going to do is, that's too much forget-me-nots, let's have you out, I've got plenty over there. Is do as I do with the calendula in quite a few places. Have that grass out as well, is just scratch a few in. It's worth just having a quick scan for weeds. My normal thing here is grass. Point it out a bit, but yeah, let's just scatter. You know, when we think about all the things that quite happily self-seed in the garden, whether it's the nigella, the poached egg, tomatoes, potatoes, well, I suppose you can't really count that as self-seeding because I put the seed potato in, but you think about how many things that self-seed and they do really well, it kind of makes sense to try and replicate that, doesn't it, initially, and then once they're established, just leave them alone and let nature do the work, because You know what, Mama Nature, she knows what she's doing. I have to say, I'm still not really feeling it today. Still, I'm very much forcing myself to do this. Oh goodness. But one of two things will happen. Either I'll start to feel it, that'll be great. But even if I don't, I know that I'll feel better for getting this done today, at least something done today. And what I really want to aim for, really want to aim for this year, is that by about mid-December, all the beds are done and sorted and covered. And then in the last couple of weeks of December, the shed, the cold frame, all my tools, all of that is all sorted, so that when I go into next year, I can focus more on the indoor work that I need to do. All these new sewing plans I have, as in needle and thread sewing, not seed sewing. So yes, I think remember that sometimes when you're in your garden and you're not feeling it, just do it. That's all there is to it, just do it. If it needs doing, just suck it up and do it. The other thing about doing something like this today, when I'm not really massively in the mood for it, or I don't know, I'm in a funny mood, but it's just remember this spring that we just had, and remember what a huge difference it made to the beds and the ease of working them in the spring. Put it this way, doing this is far easier, probably quite a bit less time consuming as well, than getting to the spring and having to dig in a load of green manure. So, yes, get on and do it. It smells very cidery here, because there are quite a few apples that fell. I'm under the big apple tree. There are quite a few that fell and got missed by us folk who like to grab windfalls. Of course, what I probably should have done is brought my 1 ton bag over, because I can get loads more into that than into a wheelbarrow, but never mind. The first load will be a wheelbarrow. Right, let's get this lot back, get them trimmed down a bit, and get them on the, I'm going to put them on the X rocking core bed. I've changed my mind about my plan in terms of finishing in bed number 1, because where the 2 strips of beds that need doing in bed number 1, where the squash were, they're actually quite covered still in terms of I had weed membrane, that fabric stuff, there's wood, there's a bit of foliage and stuff. So I'm going to leave that for now and concentrate on the rocking core bed, which is completely exposed to the elements and will very much appreciate being covered over and tucked up and cosy for the rest of this winter. Off we go. This is the ex-rocking call bed. Now before I start on it, I've just noticed that Poppy is in one of my garlic tunnels, which tells me that, it tells me that I need to get some bricks on the ends of the nets to stop them going in. That can be my next to last job of the day. Anyway, back to this rocking call bed. Now, I actually want to make it a bit wider. So where this garlic bed ends, I'm actually going to lose a little bit of it and it's going to become path. And then where the path is, say here, I want to nick 6 inches. But I'm going to wait till the spring to do that because I don't know where the garlic's coming up or not yet. So I want to let that get established before I start mucking around on this path. Now what will be interesting to note for myself and for any of you, I'm going to pop a bean trench in on the end of this bed, ready for next spring. Now, when in the past, when I've put compost or anything on any of the beds, I don't really put it right to the edges. So this has had no compost. It didn't have a bean trench dug last winter because there weren't any beans in it this year, so it didn't have all the organic matter that trench I showed you previously had. Also, it's been exposed for weeks now to all this rain. So how much difference will there be? It is considerably soggier and heavier than that one that I just did in bed number 1. Oh, that's yuck. This reminds me of how all my beds used to be in spring. Grotty and heavy and not a lot of fun to work with. All the more reason to get this little trench in and start filling it with stuff over the winter. You know, I was just saying under the apple tree about, oh that really is grotty, about forcing yourself to do something even if you're not feeling like it. This is really a really good example of that. Force myself to do this in the hopes that next year when I come to do similar, it won't be nearly so grotty and horrid, A, as a job to do, and B, as a medium for my plants to grow in. Right, now it's time to get noisy and start just testing, start strimming these leaves. And I'm just thinking about the best way, what's the most ergonomically smart way to do this so I'm not doing too much travelling. As it were, last year when I did them all, I had them all collected over by the compost bins, so I did it there. But it makes sense to do it where they're going to go, so that any that spill, hopefully, are just going to be going straight onto the bed where they're intended. Now, I haven't trimmed leaves with this new strimmer yet. Let's see how it does. Not too bad. I have to say though, it's got to be one of the most tedious jobs in the world to do, and I know there's probably a load of folk who are going to suggest, as it was suggested to me last year, why don't I put them on the lawn and just go backwards and forwards with a mower on them. That's because I don't have a mower. the only mowers we have on this site are for taking care of the communal areas. They're not for personal use. I don't have access to them except when we have a work day. But I have to say, this sun, I'm getting quite warm in the sun. So yeah, why not just get on with it? I'm not going to be making the finest of fine breadcrumbs, but just a bit of a breakdown, just to help them on their way. Anyway, it's noisy, it's going to take me some time. I'm not going to keep you hanging around, so I'll get on with this. Whew. Maybe take a layer off and then catch up with you when I'm done. So frustrating and disappointing. So I've finished that bed, the rocking core bed, and it was gorgeous in the sunshine, trimming those leaves, scattering them, and then once they were all on, I was kind of pushing them around a bit to get some good coverage, and the smell was beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that bed's all done, whoopsie, and covered now. And I've done a few other things besides, but my right leg, my right knee, it's just, I could cry. I'm not going to cry. It's agony. And I've got the whole walk home to do. I've got all those stairs to get back to my flat. So I've decided I'm just going to stop now. I don't know, I was going to say I've probably done too much today on it, but it needed to be done. So what I haven't done today, I haven't done any of that harvesting that I said I was going to do, because I know full well that now when I get home there is no way I can stand up to do any cooking. So, oh la la, I'll see how it is in the morning and hopefully come back and do that tomorrow. And what I'll do when I do that is, as I do the harvest, I'll chat to you about what I'm going to make with it, a lot of which are recipes that you'll find in previous videos. So if you've got a similar sort of harvests going on and you're wondering what to do with them, you might get some ideas from that. But that's going to be another day. Oh my goodness, that walk home. Right, I've got a few things to pack up, a few more kitty cuddles to have, but I think for today, that's cheerio. I will see you all again really soon, I hope. Hopefully back here in the garden to do some harvesting and some more leaf gathering. Oh, what fun. See you then.